Hey everyone, set 13 is coming out this Friday, and it is basically going to change the entire meta for quite a while, because it's got a lot of power decks coming out. And, you know, usually, as always, when English sets come out, I give you some Japanese decks that have worked, so you can immediately start from there and make those decks even better, right? Most of the decks did get some results in some way or another. The only new decks that did not get anything is Alden and Grifagira, right? So unfortunately, I don't have those featured here. But if you want to see example preparation decks or you know, decks you can try out, you can always just go back to the previous video that I made for the JP side. I'll link it below and use those builds there too. Sometimes the builds I make are pretty close to the real thing, but to be fair, this entire meta has been so insane that, you know, Alden and Grifagira probably couldn't keep up. Okay. Instead, though, I did add Bastion and Prison into the lineup, because for English, we get some very, very significant PRs that make the deck kind of just really good, right? They make it really good, changes the deck quite a bit in some way, so I just added those in so we can take a look. Right, so first off, we start off with Jiva. Now, Jiva actually didn't get as many results that I think what a lot of people would think it gets, because it got some really, really strong supports. Now, it did top like a bunch in like team tournaments, but I focused more on the times it topped in the singles one, because when you look at some of the team tournaments it topped, they went a bit more aggressive, a bit more high roll, right? What something you can do in team tournaments, because you got two other people that also play the game, and they can play like hyper strong decks, or you play like the third deck, so you can kind of you have the opportunity to play a bit more high roll to kind of stag more wins. But if you're playing in a singles tournament, you have to play a more you know, consistent deck, and that's probably what we're looking at in our meta, because we play more rounds and we play more singles, right? So this is kind of the more, I guess, consistent build of Jiva, right, that we see. If you're playing a less consistent one, I guess, you know, just put 4 Trick Stars, dump it as your starter. Like, there's already a start, right? This one, you run a bunch of the, you basically have like a balanced amount of Prayer Dragons and Virenas. So you have like 10 Virenas, right? So 4 of the Stravarina, 3 Mirage, and then 3 Builds. Builds is basically what a lot of the decks have been going towards when building this deck. They go, okay, what's my third Virina? Let's go Builds, right? But I have seen people take Virina Arcs as well. This build is also running for the Prayer Dragons, it's running the whole Blazing Heavling line, right? With just 2 each. A lot of decks only run 1, but this one kind of seems to want to always hit it, so they run 2. As a consequence, they only run 3 of Apogea, which a lot of decks run 4. That's really up to you. You can like change kind of the ratios a bit and bump this up to 4, but I think this is fine. It just means that they kind of always want to hit this kind of Blazing Heavily lineup, in my opinion, and just get like a bunch of free stuff. Well, not really free, but just a bunch of stuff on the board that could help them do big crossover dress turns. And then apart from that, one thing I do want to also mention as well, the trigger lineup is kind of up to you, right? A lot of, well, not a lot of decks, but a few decks have been running a 4-draw lineup. You can just kind of replace that and make a 3-draw, 8-crit lineup if you really like. The main thing, though, is the heal. So sometimes I'm just putting 4 of the normal heal, but it is kind of interesting that in this format, you get both values from running crit heals or restand heals, right? Because one of our big decks, well, Dragilled was also a big deck in Japan as well, but for us, it'll be even bigger. Even Leonor as well. You know, the restand heals are great, but also some decks get crits, right? So Dragilled and a Full Blast gets crits, as much as I remember. So both have value. It's really up to you. You can even run like 2-2 if you want, but yeah, that is like a meta call, right? There's no point in running crit heals if no one in your meta plays decks that gain crit, right? So it's up to you. Use your brain a bit. You can change that lineup. Meta call, right? But apart from that, that is just kind of the deck. Runs 3 Trick Stars. Just draw your Trick Star, right? 5 head. If you want to run more Trick Stars, there's ways you can include them in. Maybe run 1 less Bills, 1 less of the Drahas, right? Can work too. And if you want to run like more of the Grail Mirror, you can run like, again, less Drahas, 1 less Stragulo, right? So that's the kind of changes you can do. Next we have is the Ignis build. This is pretty much the most standard Ignis build that you will see, right? In fact, if you... This exact list didn't just top one event, it topped multiple events with multiple players playing the same deck, right? It is literally run 4 of every single card for the deck, yeah? 4 of the new kind of dragon, stride dragon that you get, because it just works with grade 4s, right? 4 Ignis, 4 of every single Ignis support, 4 Rockagor, right? And then you chuck in 1 Forbital, because it just works for the entire deck. And you have like 1 slot remaining that you can put in. And the 1 slot you can do is just run a Ristal Gyla, right? This card is like a very old card from BT07. What it does is it kind of lets you draw a card and retire one of your opponent's regards, which is very nice in just that, you know, the biggest problem that you'll have is surviving to grade 4. And this will help you at least get rid of something on your opponent's side of the field. In Japan's case, you know, Maigo was pretty rushy. But here, like even in the West, you know, just having a card that like does a retire and draw, at just a one-off, like even if you don't see this, who cares, right? You don't miss much. As long as you survive to this bad boy, right? You win, right? Well, you don't win, but it's what the deck does. So you need to get here, and then you can start clapping back, right? So a very simple deck to build. If you had a bunch of if you have Rockagor already, you're pretty much set. Everything else is relatively new, right? Forbital, you know, I hope you have it. And then, you know, if you don't have this, you can literally just play this with anything else. You can run the new maid, the PR maid that everyone's been trying to hype, or just anything, literally, that you feel like you like. It's just a one-off, right? Literally just a one-off. Next we have is Full Blast, so I think there's going to be a lot of hype for this deck as well. Again, a very, very simple build, right? There's 2 cards that are coming out that are insane for this deck. There's just pretty much you slot it in 100%, and that is the Fugosa and the Carino. And these basically help you get your end game, or your main goal, which is shove as many of these dudes into your soul. Every one of each rebel form into your soul, right? You're gonna RGB it up as soon as possible. The moment you ride grade 3, high roll the crap out of your opponent and win the game. Right, that is the entire purpose. And to achieve that, you plug 4 of them in. You run 2-2-1 for like your youth lineup. Because I don't know, people have been very greedy. They've been running like the 1-1-1s, hoping none of them go to damage, and that's great. That means you have more slots to play other stuff. But that's just how it is. You have 4 Sequanas. Sequanas is always good, right? And you run 4 of it, and that gives you basically 2 slots remaining to run anything. And the 2 slots that is the most common that you see is the Topaz, because it has multifunctional capabilities. One is your good old, you know, extra defensive power, right, plus 15k shield. But you also have the Regard skill, which is you look at the top 5 cards of the deck, choose 1 unit, and then pretty much call it. That's be less than grade, equal to or less than your Vanguard grade. And that means you can call a Fugosa or a Carino, which means you can shove another dude into soul, right? So this tries to get more of these, right? And then bam, that's just the entire thing. It is just that easy, right? Look at this guy. He has so many skills. Just make sure you get them, yeah? And for Persona Ride, I think that's pretty much it. Again, you'll notice here with the triggers, right? I did run, you have like 2 and 2 of the crit and the restander. So I'm pretty sure I got them right, yeah. So again, meta call, up to you. Just pick whatever you want. You can do it like this. You can run vanillas. It's all the same, right? Just make it. Just read your meta. Okay. Next we have is Bastion. So this Bastion deck got actually really, really good cards, not just in English but in JP as well. First off, let's talk about the Sapien Owl. This is coming out in English, or it is out in English already. It is insane, right? It does basically everything your deck needs, and it also is a grade 3. It's also a 10k booster. Right, solves every issue. Look at this. Regard, hand, and trigger zone. Boom, grade 3. Yep. Also counter charges, so it makes running 4 Aldens a lot more sense. I know a lot of people run 4 Aldens right now, but it's not like you get to use it. Don't get to spam the ability, right? But with Sapien Owl, you do get to spam that ability. In fact, you can probably spam it every single turn and still have CB to spam. right? The other thing you do get now is with BT13, you get those dragons, right? Here's the Keta dragon. Really insane, right? You give 2 of your reguards boost, so it solves your boosting issues. On top of, like, you know, your grade 1, right? Your Sapien Owl also boosts, but this gives 2 other cards boost that wouldn't normally have boost. And then it has some extra shielding. And shielding's always nice in Bastion because your hand is literally just fake, right? It's not real, but this makes it slightly more realer. But because of this, it combos well with Bastion Prime, so you can run 4 of that because you always need to discard a Bastion as well when you do your Bastion Accord ability. So just run 4 of this dude, combos well with Sky Leeson, yeah. And also is able to be searched from Forbidol, which just insane card. And the rest of the deck just is builds itself, right? So 4 Aldens, because drawing is good. It's just one of your better attacking reguards, and combo as well with the Sapien Owl. And then you have the Grande Edge Dragon, which just does everything the deck wants to do. Now you might notice this deck is running Elementara Sanctitude. You're like, how does this work, Kai? You know, did you mess up? You know, your Sanctitude doesn't work with Bastion. Well, the key thing about this deck is you probably want to just stay on your Accord for as long as possible, because that is just one way you gain a lot of pressure, a lot of hand as well, giving drive checks to your buddy, alright, your buddy reguard that hits fat as hell, is always some insane pressure. So you want to stay there as long as possible until you can't, and then you ride up, right? And by then, once you ride up, you're probably going for the finishing blow, so the Sanctitude doesn't really matter. If it makes you really, really mad that you're running Sanctitude in a grade 4 deck, then just change it to a Sentinel, but, you know, it shouldn't come up as often. Maybe if you ride over Fort and you call this guy, reveal this, then you feel really, really bad. So that's one of the reasons why you would change it. But I think the Sanctitude right now is still really decent because you have, Ignis, you have Prison that I'm sure a lot of people are going to be playing too, because they just love that deck. So there's a lot of opportunities slash like ways the Sanctitude is still good, right? But if it really triggers you, just change it into a normal Sentinel and you're fine. Other slots to fill out is the Fork, right? Giving extra drive checks, just, more pressure. But yeah, that's basically the gist of the deck. You want to stay at Accord for a bit longer. There's just so much pressure that it does. It never misses as well, right? You've had situations where you ride into your Bastion Prime, you go, man, this trigger check, triple drive, gonna be insane. I'm gonna restand everything. It's gonna get 10. Everything's gonna get 10k. My opponent is the Dunzo, right? But then you check like Sentinel trigger, and you just look like an idiot. So Bastion Accord will never make you look like an idiot. He is for the people. He is for your drive checks. Use him very, very well, right? Next we have is Leonor. I like to call this deck kind of the knack build, but it doesn't mean that it actually means it's a really good deck, because Knack is a really good player, right? But this build has topped quite a bit as well in the JP meta, so it's definitely proven. There is another build that has been topping a lot in JP as well, but that requires the other Leonor PR and doesn't need this PR. So basically you're trading PRs to run a full Unison Dress lineup, but we just don't have that at the moment. We have Luster Impact instead, and this goes very well with the Mask build. The idea about this deck is that usually, your grade 3 turn where your pre-Unison Dress just sucks because you're stuck on this Leonor, but instead you can go into Masks, which is like way better, and then transition into Unison Dress for your like later finisher, right? So overall, that is the idea. It gives you a good grade 3 turn. And other things to note is that you run the Rowa grade 1. That is pretty much what every single deck runs when they're running this kind of lineup. But then they transition into something else, right? The grade 2 can be anything. You can run more orders and run the Zorga like grade 2. But you can just run the normal Leonor one as well. And I think this one topped, this was Knack Leonor. I think this did top. This did top. I can't remember. I think it was like Osaka or like, or was it a Fukuoka? Something like that. But yeah, that's pretty much the main idea of the deck, right? Diantha for the thing. You have the Mask engine to get your mask, right? Luster Impact is just insane because it just gets a bunch of power, draws you a bunch of cards, and then you have your Rosarum Fairy to like copy, or you can make plant tokens, but then you can also like copy the power of your back row, which will be a Luster Impact, and you just get a billion power, and it's just you restand it. It's insane. Yeah. Diantha here will just let you grab important pieces back, important power pieces like Rosarum Fairy or Luster Impact that is gone. And that's that's just pretty much the gist of it. Next we have is Avanguardia. So this gets the new Richter card, which basically gives you a new Vanguard attack, a third Vanguard attack. All right. And then the rest of the build, you also got Asagi. So this guy just basically salvages any Avanguardia that you need. Yeah. And it's pretty straightforward. Like the whole deck is just the same as before, right? This build topped a Fukuoka, so a singles build, so confirmed, working in singles, very consistent. You just run your 4 of your Dargente. We have this now, really nice. Run Habitable Zone, just as cycler to draw cards. And then, you know, based on what you have and what you don't have, use Asagi to salvage one of your Avanguardias. And then he doesn't require Counterblast, but you have Hathaway. This guy's just insane, right? Just makes your Counterblast issues literally non-existent. And just restand your Vanguard a lot of time. Very, very, very similar to what you did before when you played this deck, but now you just have the extra explosive power of the Richter, right? And then for the prison build here, we have basically the entire PR pieces now. It's all been assembled. So we got security upgraded before, right? Great card. But now we have the Horse Girl, which is Muna. This allows you to draw cards. This solves your draw issue, okay? And it also gets power, right? It also gets power and, what do you call it? Fake resist. So in like the mirror, they can't prison your Munas. They're just there, very annoying. But one of the key things about this card is that, you know, this works during your opponent's turn as well. So make sure to just keep on drawing cards. Yeah, it's great. But just bear in mind that you will use a lot of soul if you keep using it. So at some point you'll probably run out of soul. Also, you're running only 3 pure lights because you don't have to ride pure light anymore because you have security upgrader. You can just get it. You literally can just get it, you know. And then if you don't have it, as long as these are basically 4 more pure lights, basically. So just you only run 3 of this now. This allows you to put in a lot of other things and really changes what the deck really does, right? 4-bit also searches for a grade 4. But now you can play more aggressive with your entire lineup. So here you're running 4 of the Penetrate Aquas. This has some annoying guard restrict and it hits big, right? Because now instead of playing the lame way of just, you know, prison, damage deny your opponent, or you can still damage deny. But then just wait until your opponent runs out of deck and just go, whoa, surprise! You know, put down a bunch of cards that mill your opponent's deck or send to prison, mill from deck to prison, and then, oh, look, you lose, right? Now you can play much more aggressive because you do build the prison counts really quickly. This will prison something from their drop, but also gain that restrict, so very nice. And then you also run 4 of this Lefal Royale, right? And then, you know, it just lets you build a board with this, which is really important, right? You can get your key pieces out, like Munas, which is great, which is more of the grade 3. And then this is kind of like the one-off that you can put in. Has an insane effect, right? But it requires you to have like a bunch of prisons. So you don't always get it, but having one is okay. But yeah, these two cards, right, basically make 2 other cards. So it makes the Penetrate Aquas work and makes the Lifeful Royale really work. And that kind of revitalizes the whole deck. You still run your Cuff Spring because it's just a good like costless card that lets you put a card in prison and kind of helps mill out your opponent's deck too. But yeah, this whole engine has been revitalized. Prison now doesn't have to play the slow lame games. You can play actually a very, very aggressive game now and then just put on a lot of pressure like that, which is pretty cool to see. So big plus to Prison. And then lastly, we have the Mushi King. So we finally get Mushi King in English. I never thought it would happen. And, you know, I think a lot of people now are going, what does this deck even do? I'm really scared. It looks very confusing. And I was like that at first, but the deck is actually very, very simple, okay? So one of the big things with Mushi King that you have to understand and you don't want to mess up is that your starter here, right, this funny looking thing, does not let you draw a card when you go second. Okay? That is, if you go second with this deck, just suck it up, just feel bad, and continue playing the game, right? This effect just says when this unit is rode by a grade 1 Mushi, you get a Mushi King of Beetles crest. That is it. You don't get to draw. The crest doesn't say you draw as well, right? You just feel bad. That's pretty much it. The crest itself also doesn't let you play any set orders, right? And you cannot ride anything other than Mushi, but, you know, with the ride deck, it doesn't really matter. It also lets you put 3 set orders into your, basically your order zone from your deck or hand or whatever. 1 of each. So it has to be 1 like paper, 1 scissor, and then 1 punch, 1 rock. But in here they're called hitting, right? They're called pincer, pinching, and it's called throwing, right? So you put 1 of them in. So you have 1 of each, right? And as you can see, probably from the ratios, the scissors, the pinching one is the one that you care about the least. And then whenever your Mushi card attacks, you pick one of your. These are basically called attacks. So you pick one of these cards in your order zone, you rest it, and then it uses this attack skill. So ideally, like the Cliff's notes here is if a throwing beetle attacks a Japanese beetle, you see he's got he's throwing his hands, right? Iron hands, rest the hand one. Very sick. Because you know what he gets? He gets all of these. Yeah, so his skill is greater than 80, he'll get 5k. His finishing attack is throwing, he gets another 5k. And then his super finishing attack is tornado throw, so he gets plus 5k. And then you can CB2 and discard another super tornado throw from your hand, and then it can perform a drive check. So you look at it, see, skill 90, that works. He's throwing, and his super finishing attack is tornado throw. Bam. 23k hitter, yeah? 23k hitter by himself. But it also means that you can't, if you play 2 Japanese beetles down in the front row, you won't be able to do 2. You won't be able to do 2 of these attacks because there's only ever 1 of these in the zone. So your other zone will have to be the parry stag beetle, right? And you know you will just do this attack with it, and that's just that's the very easy mode. Yeah, you only get like plus 10k because his last super finishing attack is actually just a kind of a disruption effect. But then your Vanguard is a rock, right? He's a hitting dude. So you will use the machine gun punches, and this will give your Vanguard basically plus 10k, but then give your Vanguard also a restand, CB1 restand. So that's pretty slick, right? These 5ks also last until the end of turn, and you can also, if you get any extra copies of machine gun punches, you give your Vanguard a drive check for the second attack because it gets -2 drive, so basically attacks for 0, but then with this, by discarding another copy of this, you'll give it +1 drive. So it'll be like 2 in 1. But guess what? This is the Stoicheia life, right? You have orders. You have the Zorga order that will give your Vanguard +1 drive until the end of turn. So from 2-1 or 2-0, it becomes like 3-1 or 3-2. Which is pretty slick, right? It's pretty crazy. And since you're not playing any orders down each turn because you can't, this is basically going to be the only order that you play. And this guy has Persona Ride as well. So you can hit pretty fat. Right, if you go past turn 3, you can hit pretty fat. So what does that mean? So the game plan, put down a Japanese beetle, put down a parry stag beetle at the front, so you want 1 of each, yeah? And then, use those attacks. Then you play the order to get an extra drive for your Vanguard, and you restand with your Vanguard. Insane pressure. And then the rest of the game plan is get the mushrooms, get a borrowed mushroom, pop it, make some plant tokens, and then boost with the plant tokens, because then you hit some pretty crazy numbers too, right? So your Japanese beetle will be hitting plus 5k, so it'll be hitting like 28. Then your parry stag beetle will be hitting 25, and then it'll be 28 with possible drive check as well. And then this, I don't know, you don't need to boost your Vanguard. Your Vanguard's fat. It's like 23 restander. I'm sorry, man. It's pretty crazy. So yeah, that is basically the entire Mushi King game plan. Again, the most important thing is when you go second, don't draw a card. Your crest also like Soul Blast 1 and looks at top X for like a Mushi / order. That's, yeah, just read the crest. It's just read, yeah. But don't forget to read this. I know a lot of people don't read their starters. This one doesn't draw you a card, so don't draw a card and get a game loss. And with that, I think that is all the decks that we're going to announce today. Again, the ones that we didn't, right? Alden and Griffigira. go check out the previous video that I made. You can just use those. You know, I'm pretty sure everyone else has been so hyped about other decks that, you know, they didn't even play them at all, especially in a competitive meta as well. Yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Are you gonna play Mushi King? This apparently, like, I did check a bunch of Mushi King lists. This is pretty much the ones that this is pretty much the one that has been going around. So it's I think the ratios sometimes change. Some people are on like 2-2 instead. But yeah, that is pretty much it. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below, and I will see you all in the next video. All right, bye.